You don't give him a 3-year deal. You give him a 1-year. Let me wait around for a year to figure out what to do at safety here. We'll see. But, man, so I had to get Garry Cobb on. I have Angelo Cataldi coming on the next couple of days because he wants part of this thing here. I just don't get this. It's 3 draft choice. It's 3 years from now, really. 3 drafts from now, the 26th draft. It doesn't help your team at all. You get rid of your best pass rusher. Let's bring in Garry Cobb from Fox 29. Garry, make sense of this.
I don't get it. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, maybe he got mad or, I mean, somebody.
You think something happened?
What's that?
You think something happened?
I think it'd have to be somebody did something that upset somebody. I mean, maybe somebody was dishonest about something. That's when I have seen, whether it be an agent or whether it be a GM, where they say, look, you gave me your word on this, and because you gave me your word, I am making decisions about my team based on what you told me. Now, come on, we had an understanding, and you double-crossed me, man. I'm sorry. No, there's no excuse for that. I mean, you told me A, B, and C. Because some things changed, that has nothing to do with me. We had an agreement. That's where I could see this happens, because this surely does not help the Eagles. I don't care. There's no way you can explain this to me, how this helps the Eagles. Because, like you were just saying, the pick isn't till 2026. What good does 2026 do for what you thought? I mean, now I don't want to get all, positive, but Eagles have to go into this season in their thinking that, look, we're just a year away from a Super Bowl. We've got a lot of, we got players offensively. Look at the weapons we have. And we come into this, we've added Barkley, who we think, now whether they're right or not, puts us in a position where we're like the 49ers. The defense has to pick their poison. Are you going to stop Barkley? And you're going to, get those guys in the box? And this is what he had to deal with the Giants. I mean, in fairness, people stack the box against them. They go, we don't care about any of these other guys. They can't hurt us. They got a quarterback, can't get the ball to them. So we just got to stop Barkley, and we're walking out here with a W. So whether all of that's going to pan out or not, we don't know. Whether they're going to be, that effective offensively.
Garry, can I throw in something that you and I know that I think what happened, and you tell me, and I want you to explain this to people, how feasible this is.
Yeah.
Say Vic sat down with all the personnel that started last year, and he got into what he wanted Reddick's role to be. And when Reddick heard the role on what he was and what he was going to be asked to do, Reddick said, I'm not covering anybody. I'm going to be like Hugh Douglas and rush the passer. And then Vic said, that's not the role I want for that position.
That's a good point.
I want a player that's going to be more versatile for me to be able to cover and rush. And do you think it all came down because, again, there was a big issue with the way Patricia used them?
Yeah.
And even to a point when Gannon used them early, but Gannon had the sense to change it up and go and say, all right, once they got those 2 tackles, they just rushed him off the edge. Could it be possible after their meeting that he met Garry and he found his rollout, both men wanted no part of one another?
You could be right. I've seen those type of things happen where the guy does not want to buy into that. And what I see Haason Reddick and looking at him last year, I could see where that might have happened. That clearly could have been, what developed. And I could understand, because, Haason is not a spring chicken. Meaning, like, you get to a certain point in your career, you're going, look, I'm not interested in all. Don't be changing up my role and everything. You know, this is what I'm paid to do. This is what I do. I don't need all that nonsense. And he could decide to do that. Now, athletically, you can see that he could drop into an area and do a decent job of that because he's good enough athlete. But you're right. He could have said, look, I had to do some of that last year. I'm not interested in that. And that could have been what had happened. That could have been it. Still, you know, if I'm Howie, I'm going to be hard-nosed, though. I'm not giving the guy away. He gave him
totally gave him away.
Gave him away, man. Come on. You know, the Jets, I mean, imagine the Eagles could do that. They get a guy that they're giving a 2026 pick for.
To a guy with 27 sacks in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's where I could see where that would, you know, that might have happened.
Could Reddick have said that I'm not happy here anymore?
I could see that, you know, what would have been on the contract because, you know, he's at home.
Yep.
So he liked the fact that he was in home.
Or maybe
you know,
he's not happy in this system.
Now that, like I said, if they were asking him, they're saying, look, I know you did some dropping last year. You're going to do more this year. You know, you're going to be dropping, covering the flat. We're going to have you dropping into the curl. I mean, you know, they could do that. So I could understand that, you know, if it happens, it's a shame. You know, I don't see why you can't work around guys because, you know, he's such an effective pass rusher that, come on. People change their defense and change their system to fit their talent. You know, people do that.
Jim Johnson was awesome at that.
Come on, you know, and I think right now you got to do that. You have to adapt because if you got a guy that can get to the passer, you surely, I mean, come on, look at the way other teams are fighting to get pass rushers. Anybody that can get to the passer, because if you can't in this league, you know, it's just like, you know, somebody got a gun to your head, you're dead. Because if you can't get to the passer, you know, and you can't disrupt them, you know, you're just going to have problems against good teams. You're really not going to, you can't stop them. I mean, if you got no pass rush, you know, and so now you're flipping a coin and you've got, you know, young kids, you can say what you want, but they haven't done it yet. I mean, you know, even the kid from the Jets, I mean, he had one season, he got 10 sacks. You know, you could go back and look at the stats, and I know they say good things about him, but, you know, you're not as confident when it's just 1 year, you know, and you got somebody that's young.
Here, Gary.
Yeah.
Here's the linebacking core, and you tell me what you think. Here's on the depth chart of the 34 that he's going to run.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to run a base 34, and the depth chart reads Bryce Huff, who is rated as one of the worst run defenders.
Yeah, I know.
Kobe Dean is a starter.
Yeah.
Devin White, who is not very good against the run.
Hey, both
and
of
Nolan
those guys,
Smith.
you know how small that linebacking crew is? Both of those guys, they're not 6 foot. Either one of those guys is 6 foot. They are miniature inside.
That's
very
right.
small.
I didn't think about the size factor. They're both 6 feet.
Yeah, and they're listed at 6 feet. But look, I stand next. I know Nakobe.
He's 5'11".
Yeah. You know, and so.
What do you make of this core? Nolan Smith, Devin White, Nakobe Dean, Bryce Huff. Those are your 4 linebackers on your 34 defense. I could make the argument they're the least experienced and the worst run-stopping defensive linebackers in the league.
They got their work cut out for them because they are undersized, as you said. And you get somebody that gets in there and gets very physical, and you know that's what you're going to do because, and you know, basically they have their guards and guys just fire off at them, and they're going to be up them. They're not going to have any idea where the ball is. They got a guy over them like that, and they're
just
down here.
Garrett, you're 6'6" going against a 6 foot guy. How do you see? How are you even going to just physically even be in a presence where you know where you are on the field when you've got 6'6", 6'6", 6'5" in front of you, and you're 2 6 foot, 215-pound linebackers?
They got their work cut out for them, and really what it's going to do is really puts a lot more pressure on the guys in front of them, they got to be dominant. And really, honestly, you talk about coming into the season, all I could think is I would be over there, I wouldn't want to say anything disparaging. I'm over there with a whip. If I'm a coach, I got to get it out of out of these young kids. They got to be dominant. Those two defensive tackles have got to be dominant players. Now, you drafted both of them in the first round. They're capable of that, but they got to be in so much better shape, and they got to be hungry, and they got to want to be great. That's what you got to get. And Jordan Davis, he's really, come on. He was not in shape last year, the kind of shape he's got to be in. They need it out of them. And I don't know the defensive line coach, but they got to get the defensive line coach that connects with them, and they got to push these guys because they got to be dominant. If they got those linebackers playing in back of them, miniature linebackers, they got to be dominant in order to stop people from running the football on them.
I didn't even think about the fact and how small they were there. Now, this leads me to this. Do you think that they're going to and here, before you even go over there, Garry, you've covered this team for decades. Why is it so that they don't have a problem dropping a ton of cash on one side of the ball, and yet on the other side, it's get this, look, and I'm trying to, people don't see this, and of course because we're both been paid before, and you know how they didn't upgrade the position. They just moved Haason Reddick's contract over to Bryce Huff. He's the same guy. Yeah. You didn't really upgrade anything just with a new face. That's not an upgrade.
Well, they got younger. I will give them that.
Okay, they got younger, but that means to me more inexperienced.
I mean, you're right. I mean,
but why do they spend money on one side and not the other? You think that comes from the owner?
I think that is their design. Yeah, I do think that their mentality is, that they see themselves being dominant on the offensive side of the ball. And defensively, they just want to control the offense, meaning, take away the big plays, but they're not looking for that dominance on the defensive side of the ball. They want to have a good defensive front, and I think they're altering their system, their design. Their formula is the correct word. They're altering that formula because Saquon Barkley is an altering of the formula. They didn't have, that formula where they're going to spend that much money on the running back, but they altered the formula. And I think now that with this whole thing with Haason Reddick, I think that's the altering of the formula as well, because, they always, and they're dependent on these young guys to develop. They got to develop this year, meaning during the season, they've got to develop where they've got consistent pressure coming from both sides. So you're asking two young players to give it to you this year. That's what they're dependent on,
How about this, Garry?
Yeah.
What do you think of the experiment that Howie has done? And how do you think the Georgia experiment has gone? Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Keely Ringo, and Nolan Smith. How do you think that, he went to that pool 5 times?
Yep.
And when I look at this, I mean, out of the 5 players, it looks like Carter could be the player, but the rest of them, I don't know. I mean, just because you go to Georgia here, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, who's a 2-down player, not a 3-down player.
Yeah.
Carter looks like he could be a star. Keely Ringo and Nolan Smith. You got 5 guys on that team that you went to national championship Georgia, and I got to tell you, I don't see it yet.
Well, they clearly have not been dominant. I did see the things in Carter where you can say, I could see him being that guy. Okay, what you went there to get, that you get out of him. Davis has been a tremendous disappointment. He's one-dimensional, and come on, I don't know if he's got it, because even if he's just dominant against the run, that's not worth it in today's game.
And Nakobe's going into his 3rd year.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't shown it. He has not. Nobody can say that he's shown that he is a marquee player. So you look at all those guys. You look at Ringo. He's still a question mark. Nolan Smith, come on, he hasn't shown it to you yet. And I would have liked to have seen more out of Nolan Smith last year, where he showed some power, because I didn't see any power in him. He's got the speed around the corner, but he's got to have that combination of power to where he can make a offensive tackle respect him as a bull rusher. He hasn't shown me that. He's a guy who they could just swat away, and so he could develop into that guy, but he's a big question mark. But what you said about the Georgia thing, that's definitely a big question. But I'd say Carter.
And these are big draft picks.
Yeah. Other than Carter, and Davis is really the guy that you look at and you go, no, man, I don't.
13th pick. That ain't the 13th pick.
Nothing but a run stopper. Come on, you got to give you more. Now, I've seen the potential, but man, they got to get harder on him. He's got to get more. You got to be better.
So supposedly Nolan Smith is now going to get Reddick snaps.
I know.
I mean, I don't feel good about that. Do you?
No. I come on. He has not showed you that yet. No, he has.
Or has he earned it yet?
No, he hasn't earned it. He really didn't. He didn't earn that.
Garry, do they give jobs away in Philly instead of earning them?
Well, I think right now, this move right here, this is the adjustment of their formula. I mean, because you're over there. Howie's over there hoping. This is not anything that you could look at and say, okay, I'm a detective and I see evidence. I haven't seen evidence, yet. I haven't seen the evidence really with Davis and Smith. Those two guys, I have not seen it. I mean, if I see Smith run over somebody, get, just nasty, and, he got the speed around the corner, but I haven't seen any power or anything. And when I look at him, I'm going, man, he's too light in the cakes, man. He's going to get thrown around. And
boy, Garry,
maybe
really
he gets in the weight room and gets bigger, but I haven't seen it yet.
You really bring an important, I think, comment up about the size. And not only is this a troubling defense when it comes to stopping the run, but these guys are small,
man.
Get this, 2 years ago,
yeah,
that 22 defense, that was a big group of dudes.
That's right.
This group here is smaller and lighter.
They are
at almost every position.
Yeah.
So you've gotten younger and smaller and less experienced inside of 2 years.
Yeah.
And in some ways cheaper. And how is that championship football?
This is a gamble.
Totally. This big gamble here.
This is without a doubt a gamble. And, I don't know how bad these guys want it. I mean, if they had guys where you knew that, man, you see them in there and they just leave it. They live and eat football. I know the kid Davis, he doesn't eat football. He's a bright kid and but
there's no dogs.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see that dog in, like with Smith. I haven't seen him get violent with anybody. I haven't seen that in him. And with the way he's undersized. Now that's the thing with Haason. Haason has got that dog in him.
Yeah.
Man. He's gonna fight. And you gotta have that, because you're going against bigger people. All the guys you're battling are bigger than you. You have got to be a fighter. Now I say Nolan Smith has the athleticism, but I don't know if he has that dog in him, man. And he's going to have that because, he's giving up a lot of weight to these guys and he's going to get thrown and stuff, but he's got to be just nasty. And every time they throw him, he's coming harder. And if they make a mistake, he run right over them, And I haven't seen that power. Haason has that kind of power where the guy makes a mistake, he's going out physical him. And really, a lot of this game is pride and everything. And you got a big offensive tackle, got to go back to the boys. And he let Haason Reddick run over him. See, now is Smith going to be able to do that? I haven't seen that side of him, And he needs that side of him.
Garry, lastly here, James brings a point up that, and we were talking in the last hour about this. So if Reddick goes to the Jets and he doesn't sign an extension and he plays for the $15 million, I mean, I don't get why this didn't work out for. Why didn't you just make him play out? He would have played anyway.
He would have played.
He would have played because he would have knew this was his last year.
Come on. Hey.
Do you think Vic Fangio pushed him out?
You know, I kind of think he didn't like him or whatever. And I'm going like, the guy can rush the passer. I don't care about, you're going to talk about dropping. Look, that guy's not going to make, he's not going to make a big difference how he drops. Come on. You're not going to have him dropping that much anyway. He's a pass rusher. He's shown he can get to the passer. You got to be able to get to the passer in today's game. You got to be able to get to the passer. So I'm going like, how are you going to let this guy walk? Even if he's unhappy, because just with Haason, I don't know everything he's doing, but I know he's doing things here locally. He's from this area. He's doing things off the field, where he's got some business ventures and things. He really wants to stay here now. Would he play here for $15 million? I know he would not be happy with that. But if you just said, look, we need you, man. So he's here playing. Come on. He's going to play hard.
So get this, though. But again, if they play it out, let's just do this. He plays it out. They lose him in free agency. They still would have got a third-round comp.
That's right.
Instead, they get a second 3 drafts from now.
That's right.
You would have got one the following year, a third round.
Come on.
Again,
you're right.
Something had to be said, or someone said, I'm not playing here, or someone said, I don't want you here. Because you know what? Garry, business-wise, it doesn't make sense for Philly.
It makes no sense.
Just play him.
Come on. They are not a better team without him on the roster. Come on.
Correct.
Don't come and tell me you're a better team without him on your roster. Don't tell me that, because you're not being honest. There's no way you can tell me you are a better football team. And then, come on, all these moves you made was to be a better football team this year. You are not a better football team without him this year. Come on. And it's a big jump, because if you can't get to the quarterback in this league, you are in danger defensively, because it's easier to throw the ball. Come on. They call, all the penalties they're called when the ball's in the air against the defense. And come on, if you can't get to the passer, come on. And the thing is, you got question marks in your secondary. Come on. You're not filled all the holes that you got to fill.
And
so you need a pass rusher. And there's no way they could look me in the face and say that this makes them a better football team without him. No, that's not honest.
Absolutely. Garry, thank you so much, my friend. I mean, as the Eagle world turns is very interesting each and every single week.
I tell you, if you dig out why they did this, boy, that would be something.
Boy, I'll tell you.
I'll let you know if I find out.
Get this, Garry, there's just nowhere you go, yeah. Well, you do this. How does that make you better?
That doesn't.
You signed a guy who's less experienced than you, has less skill set, but does the same stuff you do, and he's younger. And you're projecting. He even said it the other day at the owner meetings. He's projecting that he's going to be you're not even sure he's a 3-down guy.
That's right. That's right. You're projecting, and there's no way. I mean, and you're trying so hard to get better. What sense does this make?
I'm with you, man. And of all things, it was on a Friday media dump, too. So it just didn't make sense. Garry, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You got it. That's our friend Garry Cobb. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.